When you think about how a religion spreads, you probably picture something pretty peaceful, right? Missionaries, willing converts, that sort of thing. But what if I told you that in Japan, the arrival of one of the world's great philosophies of peace, Buddhism, was anything but peaceful? What if it all started with a single golden statue that actually kicked off a civil war for the very soul of the nation?
Well, that's exactly what happened. So let's dive into this incredible story. Japan Deep Dive Report. Hey, Yokoso?
That's the big question we're tackling. We're going to see how a diplomatic gift meant to build bridges ended up drawing battle lines, and how a fight that looked like it was about faith was really a ruthless grab for power.
Okay, so picture this. It's the year 552. We're in the imperial court of Japan. A delegation shows up from Baekje, a kingdom over on the Korean peninsula, and they've brought some pretty impressive gifts, sacred texts, and this absolutely breathtaking gilded bronze statue of the Buddha. Now, this wasn't just some friendly hello. This was a calculated move that was about to change Japan forever.
The reaction at court? It was immediate, and it was explosive. On one side, you had the powerful Soga clan. They were basically saying, look, all the advanced, civilized nations around us worship the Buddha. We should too. But on the other side, the equally powerful Mononobe clan fired right back, warning that embracing this foreign god would totally provoke the wrath of Japan's own native deities, the kami. The court was split, right down the middle.
And it's so important to understand what kami means here. They're not like the distant, all-powerful gods you might think of in the Western sense. Kami are the spirits that are in everything, in mountains, rivers, trees, even in people. They're the absolute foundation of Japan's original beliefs. So when the Mononobe clan gave that warning, they were hitting right at the heart of Japanese identity.
But to really get a grip on this whole conflict, we need to zoom out, way out. Because this statue, this idea, it didn't just appear out of thin air. It was the final stop on an incredible 1,000-year journey across an entire continent.
And what's just mind-blowing here is the sheer scale of time and distance we're talking about. I mean, think about it. Buddhism starts in India way back in the 5th century BCE. From there, it slowly travels across Asia, changing and adapting as it goes. It gets to China, then to Korea, and finally, after a millennium, it lands on the shores of Japan. This was an ancient, deeply sophisticated philosophy with a long, long history. And the specific type of Buddhism that arrived was Mahayana. No, its core idea isn't just about you personally achieving enlightenment. No, it's about helping everyone get there. It's a very communal idea. And you can see how that salvation for all approach would have a really broad appeal, making it this powerful force as it spread across Asia.
So, let's get back to Japan and the heart of this conflict, because it was building from a debate into a full-blown war. And this was never just about philosophy. Oh no, this was a holy war. All right? But a war for very worldly power.
And here's the big twist. While the clans were out there arguing in public about offending the gods, behind closed doors the conversation was very, very different. That statue of the Buddha, it became a pawn in a much older, much more cynical game, the struggle for total control of the imperial court.
So what was really going on? Well, for the Soga, Buddhism was a package deal. Adopting it meant locking in a crucial political alliance with Baekje. But even more than that, it was their ticket to getting their hands on advanced technology from the continent, new ways to build, sophisticated methods for casting bronze. For the Mononobe, though, this was an existential threat. Their entire power base was tied to their role as the traditional guardians of the native kami. A new religion meant a new power structure, one that could just erase them from the picture completely.
Sooner or later, words weren't going to cut it. The two sides took up arms, and it was a bloody conflict. But in the end, the Soga clan, the champions of this new faith, they crushed the Mononobe. The war for Japan's soul had a winner, and the future was going to be Buddhist.
And here's where history starts to blur into legend, which is just fascinating. The story goes that the original statue, the one that started it all, was thrown into a canal by the defeated Mononobe. But it was later rescued, and today it's said to be the main object of worship at the famous Zenkoji Temple, a real, tangible link back to this violent birth. But here's the thing. Even with the Soga's victory, the battle wasn't really over. The Buddha had won a place in Japan, sure, but the meaning of Buddhism, its deep philosophy, that hadn't taken root at all. It was still just being seen through a political lens. Now, for most people, the Buddha wasn't this enlightened teacher of a profound philosophy. Not at all. He was just a powerful new god from a foreign land, a foreign kami. People worshipped him not for wisdom, but for power and protection, the same way they worship their own native deities.
And this is where the real hero of our story steps onto the stage. Not a warrior, not a politician, but a scholar and a true statesman, Prince Shotoku. He was this brilliant young regent from the imperial family, and he saw way beyond the power grabs and the political games.
And he was no stranger to the conflict either. Legend has it that as a young teenager fighting with the Soga, he personally carved these small wooden statues of Buddhist guardian deities, stuck them in his hair, and prayed for victory, vowing that if they won, he'd build a great temple for them. His faith was personal and deep right from the start.
So, as regent, Prince Shotoku kicked off a cultural revolution. He didn't just promote Buddhism, he dove into it. He studied the scriptures and wrote the very first Japanese commentaries to unlock their true meaning for his people. He made good on his battlefield promise, founding huge temples like Shitennoji, not just for worship, but as centers of learning. And maybe most important of all, he wove Buddhist ethics, harmony, duty, good faith, right into the law of the land with his famous 17-article constitution.
So here's the bottom line, the key takeaway. The Soga clan won the war. They got the Buddha into Japan. But it was Prince Shotoku who gave Buddhism its Japanese voice. He's the one who transformed it from a foreign idol used as a political tool into a core philosophy for the entire nation. It was a shift that would define Japanese art, ethics, and government for 1,000 years.
And that leaves us with a really fascinating question. We've seen that Buddhism didn't arrive in Japan through some quiet quest for enlightenment, but through a thirst for power, for technology, for political advantage. So, knowing that this cornerstone of Japanese culture was laid on such a practical, even cynical foundation, how does that change the way we see Japan today? It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the grandest ideas have the most human and complicated of origins.